Click the link in the description to go to aoa.com, the best place to buy Skull and Bones silver cheap. Use code DTG for 3% off at checkout. Hello and welcome back to another Dare to Game video. Today we're playing Skull and Bones and we're going to be doing the Barque Guide, or the Ultimate Barque Guide, or whatever I've been calling these. Basically, it's just, kind of what I've been doing for all of the ships, except now it's going to be for the new ship that was added with this most recent Season Pass, or Smuggler's Pass, or whatever the heck they call it in this game. The Barque. So, yeah, let's just dive on into it and get started. So for starters, just to look at the Barque and where to get it, it says aid your allies and turn the tide of battle with schematics to craft the healing vessel, the Barque, and the Brazen Healer cosmetic set to match. So just from the start, before we even got it, we knew that this is a healing type support ship. So interesting enough there. We also know some details about it, or got some details here about its appearances, which are pretty cool. We got this crane looking thing on the back, which I assume maybe is for towing ships, maybe? Not really, like you can't do that in the game, but that's kind of what it looks like. It's for either that or maybe hoisting whales out of the water? I'm not sure. I could totally believe that this is some sort of a whaling vessel. It kind of looks like one. We also know we've got 4 cannons down on the bottom. We can see 3 holes up on the top, so this is clearly only a 3 cannon per side ship. So that is a step down from both the Sandbook and the Brigantine. It does have a pretty cool cosmetic set that definitely leans into the health side, what crosses in the white and the red. Honestly, pretty cool looking ship. As far as getting your hands on this one, before we go into any of the materials or anything you need, you have to actually unlock 45 levels of the current Smuggler's Pass, and so you need Smuggler's Points to do that. You get 1 token per level of this, and it takes 1,000 Smuggler's Points. You can either do that by completing the various challenges. There are weekly challenges and overall challenges that you can do, or you can just go around plundering outposts and destroying ships and gain infamy. Or a combination of both, which is what I've been doing. And you will level them up, and then you can use them to unlock various other items that are added in the pass in 3 categories: the Shipmaster, Gunner Master, and Quartermaster. And once you've unlocked 45 of them, you will automatically get the schematic for the Barque. So it's definitely not a quick process, but if you're playing the game and you're going through the Season Pass, you will, get your hands on it eventually. I've gotten my hands on it. It took me a little while, but I got to it, and now I'm making the video. As far as crafting it, same process as usual. Once you have the schematic, you just go to the shipwright, and it'll be the last one on here. It's called the Guardian. Class is Barque. It's a medium size. It says a ship that excels at aiding other ships in danger by rendering effective repair. It's a support vessel, and that is it says specialized in aiding friendly ships. The support excels in providing assists that can help turn the tide of battle. Our perk is Revitalized. It says restores 0.5% of severe damage and 0.5% of hull health per second, as well as for nearby friendly ships. Restores 15% of stamina, 10% of severe damage, and 60% more of hull health on a friendly ship while using a repair weapon. So a lot of perks there. 1, we get automatic repair to ourselves, severe damage, and also for ourselves and for other friendly ships around us, and it makes our healing weapons more effective. So this is what a lot of people were asking for, because up to this point, the only support ship in the game was the Cutter, which honestly in late game combat was totally useless, or mostly totally useless unless you are able to avoid ever getting hit. So the Guardian finally gives us a support ship in the medium class. For the stats on this one, we have a base ship rank of 5, hull health of 36,000, brace strength of 7,200, speed of 11 knots, trimming speed of 15 knots, cargo of 70,000, and stamina of 100. So basically, it is a downgrade in every way from the Brigantine, except for the cargo space. It carries more cargo space. The Brigantine has a better brace strength, much higher speed, better hull health, all that sort of stuff. So if you were just expecting to use the ship as an upgrade over that one, it's not. It's really only better than any other ship as a support ship. That being said, it is now the 2nd fastest in the game. Not by much. It's only slightly faster than the Sandbook and the Snow, but it is the 2nd fastest with a trimming speed of 15 knots. As for loadout potential, we do have full options. So we have bow, broadsides, stern, and auxiliary, and we do have 5 furniture slots. So it's not a bad ship. It definitely has lots of options, and you could use it effectively if you, equipped it with the right armor and weapons and everything. You could use it as your general purpose ship. That being said, as we already pointed out, it only has 3 cannons per side instead of the 4 that both the Sandbook and the Brigantine have, so you're automatically going to be lowering your DPS potential with the ship, but like I said, it's a support ship, not a DPS ship, so that makes sense. As for crafting requirements for this one, you need pretty high level stuff, but nothing crazy. Magnetite ingots, roselle cloth, green heart planks, zinc ingots, screw mechanisms, cogwheels, and precision drilling bits. I'll show you where to get these on the map, but just from in here you can tell, we see our little Dutch logo next to the screw mechanism and precision drilling bit. Precision drilling bits are probably the most high level difficult thing to get on this list in here. You get these from attacking elite ships over in the well, anything Dutch over there, so elite convoys and their forts and the Dutch towns and stuff like that. So if you want to get the precision drilling bit, that's how you do it. Cogwheel comes from French ships, so that one's relatively common. You can see I've got 423 of them. Screw mechanism is basically the same thing. This one comes from the Dutch ships, but it's very, very common. I've got 586 of them, so not hard to come by. And then all of the materials are relatively easy to find, so I'll just show you on the map where to find the zinc ingots, green heart planks, roselle cloth, and magnetite. All right, so a lot of the stuff is going to be down here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map. Just starting off with magnetite, because that's probably one of the ones that most people will have the smallest amount of if you're having difficulty with any of these resources. And you can loot it from any ships in this area, but if you want to, say, mine it because it's easier and doesn't require combat, these islands here in the bottom right corner are loaded with it. So the island with Grand Falaise on it, you can see we've got magnetite nodes all over the place, and you can mine all of those and then take them and refine it. And you can see the same thing for the island with Dutchman's Camp. We've got a bunch more magnetite. So if you want to mine a bunch of it and refine it yourself, you do it down here. Otherwise, like I said, all the ships around here are likely to be carrying magnetite ingots on them. As for roselle cloth, again, same thing, sort of this area. If you go to Kokuk Terrapung, this little island here in the middle of the sea, you'll find a bunch of roselle planted around this island, and you can harvest a ton of it there and then go and refine as much roselle cloth as you want. Again, otherwise, ships in the area. Then for our green heart planks, you're going to want to make your way over to the Du Bois lumberyard. So you can see that's actually not far from St. Anne. It's this island right here. And there are some green heart trees in the area. So if you just want to cut them down and refine the planks yourself, you'll find green heart, and magnetite on this island and around on this little island too. Otherwise, the Du Bois lumberyard is a green heart plank lumberyard. So all you'll have to do is go there and plunder it, and you'll get your hands on plenty of them. Lastly, we need zinc ingots for the ship, and you'll find those up here in the bottom part of the East Indies. So if you go around Fort Duister here, Dweister, I'm not sure how you're supposed to pronounce that, you can just get a ton of zinc over here. So all of the rocks in the area on these islands, you can see all these nodes, they're all zinc nodes. So you can just mine a bunch. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure all three of these foundries are zinc foundries. So I don't know why they have three that close together that you can get so much zinc from, but you can. And like I said, it's just all over these islands. So it is not hard to find it, and that's all your material. So like I said, you're going to be finding almost all of it in this area, and that includes things like, so you can see here we have a merchant convoy, the DMC Dispatch. It's a Dutch convoy. Precision drilling bits are things that you'll get on pretty much all the ships you destroy in this convoy. And all the smaller ships and stuff, you're likely to find the springs from the Dutch, and any other French that you find anywhere, you're likely to find your cogwheels. So all the materials are actually pretty simple, straightforward, and easy to find. Then as far as our loadout for the ship, I've actually found a pretty sweet one that works really well with the ship in the support role. So I tried doing a DPS build with it, but I was just disappointed by how much worse it was than the Brig and the Sambuck and any of the DPS builds that I tried so far. So I decided I wasn't going to dick around with that. I was just going to make it my dedicated support ship, and it works really well in that role. So as far as that goes, cosmetics are obviously whatever the heck you want. I went with the ones that go with the ships, so the red and white, and then I added some gold accents to make it look fancy. As far as everything else, we'll just start with the weapons on here. For our bow weapon, I like having a repair long gun, preferably 3 if you've got it, but whatever you have is next best. The reason I like this, long range, accurate, you can point and shoot with this one. I find it, as far as repair weapons, I go for a mix because you don't want your ship to only have repair weapons. It makes you useless in combat other than that. But if on our frontier, or not useless, but close, because your damage potential is ridiculously low. But yeah, so the repair long gun on the front, if you have a 3 that, otherwise a 2 or 1 will also be fine. Our side weapons are damage weapons. I prefer having culverins on support ships just because they're, very broadly applicable, high fire rate, decently accurate, pretty adaptable range. I currently have culverin 5s attached here. There is a new high damage culverin in this season pass that I'm excited to get my hands on, but I haven't yet. I assume it'll be quite good. Otherwise, Basilisk 3s, anything like that where you're going to be able to maximize damage potential. The tearing culverins would also be a good option here because they would help you immobilize other ships. So you could deal damage, you can heal your allies, and you could slow down your other ships. It's definitely a valid option. I just put culverin 5s on both sides, so those are my broadside weapons. For my rear weapon, I went back and forth here on whether I wanted it to be healing or not. Eventually, I decided to help with our damage potential a little bit more, and I put my Dardanelles gun on here. It's one of the most powerful bombards in the game, so it gives me a little bit more variety in my damage output and range. And, you know, I like the Dardanelles as a stern gun because I'm usually using it in one quick burst, whereas with like the fire bombard, you can fire them all individually. I find the Dardanelles works really good here. So you could do a healing weapon, you could do a long gun or something like that. Torpedo launcher would be fine here. I find that if you've got a high level bombard, it's your best option for this ship. Then for our auxiliary weapon, it was fairly obvious. Repair mortar. So this gives this ship damage potential from our broadsides and stern weapon, and long range, like very long range healing potential with our mortar, and medium to long range with our long gun on the front. So I find this to be a build that works really, really well for repairing your allies, and also for being able to actually deal some damage yourself. So that's why I have the weapons laid out like I do here. There's obviously quite a bit of flexibility for personal preference and all that crap, but I find that this build has been pretty optimal for a support ship. Moving on to our armor, obviously anything good is going to be great. I have the Royal Custodian armor on here because, you know, I've got several of them and it's a really good piece of armor. Gives you 400 protection, plenty of damage protection against all of your major things, your flooding, your explosions, your fire, your piercing, all that sort of stuff. So it's good for all that. The Black Prince armor would also be a great option on here. As with the Wailing Ward, I think it doesn't look as good on it, so I didn't go with the Wailing Ward on here. But honestly, the Royal Custodian armor, easy to get and really high quality. But if you don't have that, then, you know, anything else will also be a good option as long as it provides you with as much damage protection as possible. So yeah, I went with the Royal Custodian. And lastly, for our furniture, since so many people have asked that on all my ship builds, despite the fact that there's a ridiculous amount of build variety that you can go for, on this one, I found the way that I liked it the best was to make it like this. So I made my major one, our first aid station. So increases repair amount of repair weapons by 30% for ships with less than 33% of hull health. So just makes our repair weapons all that much more effective. For our second furniture slot, we have the maintenance forge, so restores 1% severe damage per second while out of combat. I use this on most of my ships, so this is the severe damage is stuff that you cannot repair with your repair kits. It'll be that little red bar on your health. Typically, you have to go back to port to fix that. Well, as long as you have the maintenance forge equipped on your ship and you're out of combat, it will repair 1% per second. So it's super useful. There's very few builds that I won't put a maintenance forge on. Sometimes on a DPS build, I want that extra slot for more damage, but typically I'll put this on every ship that I sail. So the maintenance forge one is an obvious choice. For our third furniture slot, I have the Culverin Works to increase our damage for our main weapons on the ship. This one says increases elemental damage multiplier of culverins by 19%. For our fourth one, same thing, I did Culverin Grinder. This one increases our projectile speed by 15%, so it makes them sail faster, quicker, or long distances quicker, so just very useful in combat for not missing. And then for our fifth slot, I went with the double playing Tull 1, increases our max hull health by 5%, makes us a little bit stronger. So basically with this ship, I went a little bit damaged because our main weapons are those culverins, so that's why I did 2 slots for that, but the rest of it's all about survivability. I made our health weapons more effective, I made our hull health higher, and I made it so that we can repair that major damage without having to go back to port. But with all that being said, that's how I did the furniture for this ship. And that is all there is to talk about with this ship. The Barque is pretty cool. I'm glad they added a higher level support ship. A lot of people were upset that it seemed like once you got out of the small ship range, you could not play a support role. Well, now you can, and you can see that with the right weapons and equipment and everything, hypothetically, this ship can get decently high level. I assume that the other high level weapons that are being added with this pass will help us get there. But with all that being said, that's the Barque. Hope you enjoyed this video. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching another Dare to Game video. If you liked this video, please leave a like and a comment. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel. If you like my content and would like to support this channel, consider becoming a member today for as little as $1.99 a month. It makes a huge difference. But in any case, thanks for watching and have a nice day. I'll see you next time.